Hello, everybody. I'm Rainbow, and this is Dimensional Walking. And today's video, I'm going to talk to you about my feelings on Ouija boards. And I thought that I would kind of change things up a little bit because it's been something on my mind for a while. And it's something that's been bothering me for a while because I know that there are a lot of people who play with Ouija boards, and maybe they play with Ouija boards just for the fun of it or whatever, but Ouija boards aren't something to be played with. So I thought what I would do is talk to you guys about my feelings on them and different aspects of the Ouija boards. So first off, I want to explain that Ouija boards are basically taking, and just imagine you're just being in your house, opening up your door, and just allowing anybody into your house without screening them, without knowing them, without any form of information about who they are, where they've come from. Now, we know in reality that we wouldn't do that. But what I find that people don't look at the Ouija boards in the same manner. So we know that with the Ouija board, there's different aspects to the Ouija board that take place whenever people gather around. First off, it's the people themselves. It is the location, and it's the specific questions asked and how they are asked and what happens throughout the questioning as far as who they've encountered, something that's come through, and how they open the game and how they close it off. Now, I'm not going to go into the history of the Ouija board. If you want to know the history of it, you can kind of look that up. That's something that I think most people who play the Ouija board, they kind of understand. It was during the Victorian times, people were really interested in contacting the dead and all that stuff. And so I'm not going to go into that. I'm going to go into actually what happens today when people use Ouija boards. Because I'm the person that a lot of people would call to get rid of whatever it is that they've brought through. So what I'm saying is that you would not get into your car and drive without, or fly a plane without having any form or experience learning how to do it, how to drive it, how to fly it. So when you play the Ouija board, it's really good to understand what it is that you are playing with, because it's not a game. And I think the biggest problem that I have with Ouija boards is the fact that people play it as a game, because it's really not, because a lot of stuff comes through Ouija boards and people don't even know it. And maybe they don't even know that they're the ones that brought it through. They think, oh, something scary happened. They scream and they jump up, and then they close the board up, and then they put it away, and they never think about it again. Well, that's exactly what these beings want to have happen. There's always something in the paranormal waiting for you to welcome it into this reality. And to assume that whatever these things are just spirits or ghosts or whatever is a bit naive, because really, if we look at what a Ouija board is, it's actually, to me, it's a portal. It's an opening into something else. And so it can be dimensional, it can be a lower vibrational entity, it can be something that's really nasty as heck. It can be something nice too. You can bring something through that maybe, is not detrimental to humans and our well-being. But for the most part, when people look at Ouija boards and actually play the game, they have no idea what they're calling forth. And to do that in ignorance is kind of ridiculous, because you leave the problem for somebody else to solve. And I know that a lot of people are like, oh, I don't believe in all that stuff. Well, you don't believe it until it happens to you. And I hear that so much. I'm so sick and tired of that. I didn't know it, this was the way it was supposed to, that it would happen till it happened to me. Well, hello. Yeah, that's a lot of stuff in life happens until it happens to us. So what I'm saying to you all is that if you go in and you do the Ouija board, do it with respect, research it, understand what you're doing, open the Ouija board up, with respect and reference, and understand what you're opening up, a portal, an opening. It's a beckoning to something that you know nothing about. You're basically looking into the fog of the universe, and you can't see, 3 feet in front of you, and you're trying to beckon something. So if you want to do that, understand that that's what you're doing, but just be aware of the fact that you may not know what you're beckoning. So if you want to beckon something in particular, the important thing for you to do is to actually write down a script, write down exactly what it is that you want to call to you. So if it's a human spirit, someone who's passed away, then call upon that human spirit, but understand that that's the focus, the intention of what it is that you want to bring forth. A lot of people will play the game, and I say game because it's not, and they would just call for anybody. Is there anybody there? Well, hello, yeah, there's somebody there, because there's these entities and these beings are always waiting for, a call, a beckoning, so they know, oh no, the humans are, because if we're going to be their food source, if they feed off our frequency and our emotional aspects of who we are, we're a feast for many of these entities that come through that feed off of us. I think that's a lot of what these shadow people are. They come through Ouija boards, these openings, because people don't understand what they're opening up to. So I think it's really important to understand that before you decide to do the Ouija board, is to first be aware of the location where you're actually going to do the Ouija board. Understand the people that you have around you, if they have an understanding of what the Ouija board is all about. Do a cleansing of the room. I like incense and I like saging. I think that's a good thing to do before you do the Ouija board. Do a preparation for it. And then make it very clear when you start off and you open up to the ethereal world, or you open up that portal. Understand and make it very clear that nothing negative can come through. And a lot of people don't even bother to think about that because they just kind of want to, have something scary come through. Well, you don't want something scary coming through, because that one thing that can come through can actually attach itself to you, and nobody wants to have an attachment to them. Yeah, that's something that I think is one thing people don't think about is if they have something attached to them, how does that work? What happens? Things change right after the Ouija board. Let me tell you, for many people who have had attachments, low energy, change in mood, unfortunate things happen. There's a lot to know about doing this. So it's not something that you want to have happen to you. And then the really important thing is to remember to close off the Ouija board. Remember to say, hey, you got to go back. If something has come through, sorry, you got to go back. We just invited you just for a little while. You're welcome to the party for a little while, but you got to go back. Make it very clear they have to go back. And so when people do the Ouija board, how they close out is very, very important. A lot of different times when I've actually helped people who've done the Ouija board, there's like 5 people who are involved, 5 people scram, the Ouija board's there. They finally go back the next day in the daylight, put the Ouija board back in the box and put it under the bed, put it somewhere where they can't see it. But it didn't stop the paranormal from happening, because once the doors open and you've allowed something in, it's just the beginning. So then I'm obviously called in to try to figure out what this thing is and try to getting rid of it. So here's the deal. And I have to ask this question. What do you think happens to these entities once they're here? What do you think? Where they go, where they do? What happens when somebody likes me says, hey, you can't stay in this house anymore. You got to go. You're not welcome. The people here don't want you here, period, end of story. Or this person that you're attached to, you got to unattach and you got to move it on. What do you think happens to those entities when somebody like me makes them leave? That's something that we all should think about, because they go somewhere. Do they become a problem for somebody else? That's interesting. So in the next video, let's talk about that. Let's talk about what could possibly happen after, I get rid of something, or somebody, other, medicine man or woman gets rid of something. Where does it go? What do we have to do to make sure it doesn't go and affect somebody else? So next video, let's talk about that.